Today we are visiting English-Thomson Cemetery in South Portsmouth, Greenup County, Kentucky. We came to this cemetery off of the bridge from West Portsmouth, turned right on to Kentucky Route 8, and went up a private drive for Sandy's Lane, and with permission of Mr. Sprinkle, parked in his driveway and came up the hill below us. So it's a pretty steep hike. There's a lot of briars, so if you come to visit the cemetery, you'll want to make sure that you wear some good shoes and some long sleeves, keep from getting torn apart by the briars, and probably a pair of gloves. But we're here in the spring right now, so hopefully the greenbriars won't be too bad if you visit this time of year, but they are still pretty thick. But just give a quick overview of the cemetery. It is a pretty long cemetery. It's on a little plateau, not quite at the top of the hill. We're about halfway down it, but it's a nice little flat, and it has a draw on the back side of it. So the cemetery does expand out from that point, and then we'll go around to the left, and it goes all the way across till it starts to go up the hill again. And there is a boundary fence, so as you're looking for people, you shouldn't have too much trouble making sure that you stay within the bounds of the cemetery. One of the reasons we like to come to the cemetery, we visited in 2018 and visited in the spring. Obviously, we like to get out before the snakes and the greenbriar, but we also like to come whenever the daffodils are blooming. And for us researching headstones and doing genealogy, and researching headstones, it's really nice to see daffodils blooming. Sometimes that's the difference in us being able to locate a fieldstone burial, or sometimes even just markers that are down. The daffodils usually will accompany these headstones. At least it's been our experience. So this looks like Hannah H. Biles. To be off on the first name, but it is Biles, and died January 1st, 1866. We can always go back and reference the photos that we took earlier. So we normally walk through and get our bearings and photograph all the monuments that we can, all the monuments that we can see. That way we can also add GPS locations to them. Then we come through and do a video and take some 360 photos. We have a newer replacement marker, it looks like, for Private John M. Hannah, Company C, 2nd Kentucky Mounted Rifles, Confederate States of America, who was born September 18th, 1842, and died May 7th, 1923. So that monument's over there by itself. The majority of the monuments are centered here, and we'll get to those, but I want to kind of walk around to the ones on the periphery that might otherwise be missed. We're going to walk down the hill here. We think we have several more graves that are not marked in any way, just based on how sunken everything is. But here's the draw we were talking about. We have to walk downhill and then back uphill. So here's a good array of daffodils, and then we have this squared off fieldstone. It's next to another fieldstone marker that's been engraved. The footstone, we think it's a footstone, isn't engraved, and it's kind of far away, so maybe another marker. Here we have the headstone and daffodils for T.M. Riley. It looks like he was born December 31st, 1886. So Briars are kind of thick right now, so we won't be able to read all of the stones because we'll drop the camera and fall over and get pretty beat up, but we have photographed them all. And we either have a groundhog, or fox den. There are more markers right there. Walk around to it. Sorry if the video is really uninteresting. You're just getting a good shot of briars, but here we have the headstone of Harrison Cole, born March 2nd, 1888, and died June 20th. It looks like 1909. Asleep in Jesus. You can see it has the plinth and the die. And it, despite being on the hillside, it's still upright. And we'll go back uphill, make our way towards the center. Here we have some yucca, our needle and thread, or devil's darning needle. We have a concrete marker here that had a glass front. And at one point it might have had like a metal sign that was on the inside. We've even seen these with letters, like mailbox letters attached to them. And we can almost make out where the letters have bonded with the glass, or maybe the rust is bonded with the glass. And after the letters peeled away, some of it's still there. But we can't quite make it out. Let's go back towards the headstones for the namesakes of the cemetery. We have Cynthia Thompson, born in 1858, died in 1942. Sarah E. Thompson, June 3rd, 1847 to October 21st, looks like 1929. Anthony W. Thompson, born October 19th, 1852, and died October 18th, 1907. Now, it looks like some of these are replacement markers. So this large die may have accompanied this newer granite marker for Mariah Emily English. She was born in 1805 and died in 1890. So that is most likely a replacement marker for that. And here we have footstones that would accompany the Thompsons. Here we have a very large, probably 3.5 feet across and at least 6 feet long box tomb for Henry Thompson. And given the style of the marker, I would guess that might have been one of the earlier burials here. We have a granite marker for Janet B. and John T. English, born May 26, 1866, and died February 27, 1932. And John T., who was born February 23rd, 1848, and died April 16th, 1924. And aside them is George W. Thompson, who was born in 1840 and died in 1900, and then Emma B., who was born in 1846 and died in 1915. Now, we have, looks like a large family lot, and you can see on the metal fencing, this wrought iron fencing, where it's suffered a couple of tree strikes over the years, or maybe a tree growing up through it, but it would have went all the way around it. There's a stone base. We have a beautiful granite marker for Jenny W. Tanner, who was born July 14th, 1884, and died April 15th, 1901. And on top it says, "Jenny, thou art gone to heaven, where you need no mother's care. You are now with the angels, safe with Jesus there. You are able now in the arms of Jesus along the golden shore. You are resting now in peace with Jesus evermore." So Very beautiful marker. You can imagine trying to get that up the hill. We'll walk around, locate a footstone. It says CCC on it. And then this here is just a slab of marble that was resting on the fence, like veneering that might have went around another box style tomb. It's really small. We have just passed through that. And here we have another granite marker. It says Jenny Tanner, 1884 to 1901, then Kate Stewart, 1870 to 1902. That's a very large granite marker. Okay, now here's where it starts to get a little bit hairy. We have two markers for the Jones family, Albert Jones, who died in 1904, and then his, I believe this is his wife over here, who died in 1911. So we'll make our way carefully through the briars. And as we do, there's a couple fieldstone markers. We're saying that they're fieldstone markers because there's about 6 feet apart from the headstone to footstone, and they're on the same axis as the other stones. Here we have a little cluster of markers. This is for the children of, like, John Burton. We have Thomas Butler Burton and Lizzie May Burton. Now on the other side of that is the headstone for their father, John Burton, and then John Harrison Burton. And then we have a government marker here for John Hayslip. And this is his footstone. We'll walk this way. Another marker back in there. We have already went through and photographed all these. I can't quite keep all their names straight. We have government marker for either Gordon or Jordan Thomas. And fieldstone, footstone. Headstone for John Scouten, who was born in 1847 and died in 1916. And then down next to the side, we have a marker for Nell Scouten Smith. Looks like she was born April 30th, 1894, and died, looks like March 7th, 1935. So yeah, Nell Scouten, born April 30th, 1894, and then died March 7th, 1935. We're at 10% battery, so we'll have to kind of be quick. Here we have another family plot that is encircled with wire fencing, and it is for the Brooker family. We have Maudie Brooker, daughter of J&L Brooker. That's Lizzie Brooker, who died January 21st, 1894, 50 years, 6 months, and 6 days. We're still within the Brooker family plot. We have Jacob Brooker, who was born 1843 and died in 1938. Joseph H. Brooker, who was born 1867 and died in 1929. And then Walter Brooker, who was born in 1869 and died in 1940. And then we have the government marker for Jacob Brooker. It looks like he served in the Virginia Infantry. We'll make our way out of here. You have more yucca. The cemetery has a lot of biologicals that we see in cemeteries. We have cedar trees and rose bushes and daffodils and creeping myrtle. And here we have a wrought iron enclosure. We're going to assume it's for a smaller burial. It's maybe 5 foot long and 3 foot across, but it completely encircles this burial. There's no apparent headstone or footstone, but there is some grave cavitation, so the grave's collapsed. Make our way over here to the monument for Charles R., son of A&E Brown, who was born February 21st, 1890, and died August 31st, looks like 1902. And then his mother is here on the other side. Elizabeth, wife of Ernest Stockham, born January 4th, 1869, and died April 25th, 1908. So the front of it says, or the top rather, says mother and son. So it looks like Charles may have been from a previous marriage. So as far as we can tell, the cemetery doesn't extend past this marker. So if you do come, looks like the most eastern boundary is the brown marker and this infant burial. There are 2 other monuments here over the hillside, one from 1950 and then another one, the initials are just JEW. It was born and died on the same day. It suffered a tree strike, but we were able to get it from underneath the log and stood back up, so if anybody needs to locate it, they can. But make our way back around. So again, we are at English-Thomson Cemetery in, I think they would call this South Portsmouth, off of Kentucky Route 8 in Greenup County, Kentucky. It's a really nice cemetery. You can tell that it's been cared for many years. But just given its location, I would say it's really hard to get up here and do much with it. But if you do come, you'll want to wear some protective clothing, some gloves, long sleeves, good shoes, and make sure you make contact with the property owner. Let them know that you're parking in their driveway. But we'll just take one more quick shot as we go back through. But just want to thank you all for hanging with us today as we come out and visit another cemetery. Thanks.